Feel the gravity pull and it keeps me away. I would rather be here, lonely in space. I've made up my mind, I just wanna be free. I live my own life in a new galaxy. I wanna be weightless in the silence of the night sky. I wanna free fall into nothing at all. I'm taking the moment, starting all over. I wanna be free and live my own life in a new galaxy.
It's lights out and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. Mika Hakkinen does get a good start. Now what is Leclerc doing? He's actually not got off so well. Lando Norris is going to take second. Mika Hakkinen got the perfect start. Look at Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen has already moved into the lead. And there's Aiden Jackson, I think that was going off the road in the Audi car at the back there. And there is Charles Leclerc in the pits. And is it for a front wing? It is. Charles Leclerc is in the wars again in a championship fight. That was never on for Charles Leclerc. That is a mistake. Looking a little bit later on the straight lap, and he makes contact with Charles Leclerc, and that's why Jackson was off the road. Mika Hakkinen, speaking of, is he going to try and move into turn one? He is on the championship leader. Mika Hakkinen takes back the lead. And as we now begin the Jackson highlight reel, vintage Aiden Jackson with more passing maneuvers round the outside. He has a Ferrari in the way, and that's contact between the AlphaTauri and Carlos Sainz. And Jackson does a Verstappen and says, I'll have some of that. Thank you very much. Look at this action. This is George Russell on Kevin Magnussen, Sergio Perez, and Yuki Tsunoda, and he's gone by all three of them. Oh my goodness. What a move by George Russell on off. Mick Schumacher, he's out of this race, and well, I think he's probably going to go home anyway. Now, DRS will be immediately enabled, and Max Verstappen finally gets his man. He's got another yellow flag, and that is Lewis Hamilton. He's off the road this time, and he is out of the race. Oh, what a shame. Lewis Hamilton is staring at the prospect of going, whoa! What is going on there? That's a very slow Aston Martin. Max Verstappen rounds the final corner and wins the Mexico City Grand Prix in a truly not dominating fashion, let's be honest. Hakkinen gave him a fight. At the end of the day, that tyre strategy worked out wonders for Red Bull. The final sprint of the 2022 season. Welcome to probably the prelude of the Grand Prix here for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, as it's called now, as it had a name change from last season. I think for simple terms, I'll probably just stick to the Brazilian Grand Prix if that's okay with everybody. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar at 2.6 miles and just 15 corners, and obviously those two vital DRS zones for overtaking. Even though overtaking is probably easy without them. We've had plenty before. Remember, there's one Pada Montoya on Michael Schumacher in 2001. Let's take a look at the starting grid. This is not the starting grid for the race. The sprint today will decide that. But from the back, it's Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi for a bit of a different back row. Kevin Magnussen goes through 20th in the penultimate weekend for Sebastian Vettel. He's 19th behind Zhou Guanyu and Alex Albon. It's Mick Schumacher and Pierre Gasly, followed by Yuki Tsunoda and Valtteri Bottas. As finally, Alfa Romeo seem to be getting higher up the grid. Both the Alpines on row 6. We're going to the top 10 with Daniel Ricciardo and Mika Hakkinen. George Russell is behind Charles Leclerc. It's a vital weekend for him to keep his championship alive. Aiden Jackson ahead of him, but behind Lewis Hamilton. Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez are behind the front row, separated by just 4 thousandths. Lando Norris and pole for the sprint man, Max Verstappen. So,
here we go then.
This is the weekend where Max Verstappen could take the championship. He won't take it today, as he has an over 25-point lead, but if he can maintain it by literally finishing ahead of Leclerc in both these races, he will be champion with a round to spare, and that's been really after the madness that Charles Leclerc has had since pretty much the Italian Grand Prix, where he has suffered damage in almost every single race. It has all gone pear-shaped, as we said last time out for him. I don't think he suffered any damage in Japan. He was just further down the field due to a grid penalty and struggled to pass Mick Schumacher. Ferrari have really just fallen away, and now Red Bull are very much in position to take the championship lead if Ferrari don't get a load of points here. If they get 1-2s in both these races, they might settle that with a round to go. And I would say if Ferrari do drop it from here, it's going to be a massive disappointment. They've led the constructors pretty much all season long, whereas in the drivers, it's gone back and forth between Leclerc and Verstappen. And Aiden Jackson has even been on the outside looking in. He's got the slimmest opportunity. He could probably fall out after the sprint today. The Audi has not looked all that good for once. Jackson's only P6 and Hakkinen was P9. So Audi have lost a step this weekend. It doesn't really matter too much. But they are ahead of one Mercedes in the points. Don't forget the points now go down to 8th place as opposed to just the top 3 for 2021. So as it stands right now, Max Verstappen would be on 8 points and Leclerc would be on 2. Don't expect the sprint to finish that way. But if it did, Max would not take the title, but he would, I think, amass about a 30-point lead. And he needs a 25 to take, well, 25 to have it like almost all but sewn up. It wouldn't be mathematically over. And here come the 5 red lights then for the sprint for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go then, and Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, it's an even start, but Lando Norris looks to have gone bad the inside already. Lando Norris has got into the lead, and look, Sergio Perez, the cork in the bottle and the real kind of outsider here, passing Verstappen. That's not what Red Bull will want. Surely they will ask Perez to move over, given either or, although they might look at it. They might look at it and just say fair's fair, and Perez got him in the first corner and he won out. Charles Leclerc is up to P6 already, so he's made a position or two because the Audis have fallen off a cliff as Aiden Jackson is down to 10th. Jackson's in a terrible start for once. That's very rare indeed. And last is Sebastian Vettel. He's fallen off too. There's a piece of debris there going across the track. It might be more than one. I think there was contact between Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi, it looked like. We'll get a better view of that later, but someone will coming into the pits. There's more front wing curse from 2022 is back. We've had a lot of front wing losses since pretty much Italy around the same time as everyone else. Leclerc getting in the pits in Singapore, having to pit twice in the USA, and then once in Mexico, of course. Leclerc has probably spent more time in the pit lane than on the racetrack. Here we go for the end of lap 1 in this sprint, and who is coming in? And it's Sebastian Vettel who's one of them. Oh, really? Sebastian Vettel, just the man with no luck. Both Haas drivers are in. What happened there? Have they got together on the track? That's not what Haas need. And Kevin Magnussen now is going to have to wait for Schumacher to receive his front wing change. So Haas have had absolute calamities. Sebastian Vettel might beat both of them out of the pits here, or at least Magnussen, because he's going to have to wait. Lando Norris leads the sprint, and the USA Grand Prix winner is now leading again. Perfect start from Lando Norris, who's not really been known for that in the past, but here today, absolutely spot on, passing Verstappen, and not only that, Perez did as well. So what will Red Bull do? They'll probably monitor Leclerc and see what he's doing before deciding on any team orders to be enforced. This is Mick Schumacher, and it's a dive bomb on the inside of Alfa Romeo. That was never really on for Mick Schumacher, probably in a desperate bid to maybe impress his future employees at Mercedes as reserve driver. And Kevin Magnussen actually hit the Williams of, I guess that's Alex Albon then, and the Aston Martins got together. This is better with Stroll. Yes, they do. Wow. So the first piece of debris was actually from Kevin Magnussen hitting a Williams, and then Lance Stroll probably braked, and he didn't really intend to brake check Sebastian Vettel, I wouldn't have thought, but he had to brake, forcing Stroll to brake, and Vettel lost his front wing. It was probably the other way around. Jackson is in 9th. Points play positions at the moment then. Lando Norris and Sergio Perez are the front two, ahead of Verstappen. Then it's Lewis Hamilton and both Ferraris, and there's an AlphaTauri off the track. That's Tsunoda, he's fallen off. What happened there? And he's going for a bit of a rally cross across the grass. Looked very Kimi Raikkonen-esque when he got lost in 2012. Hopefully we're going to replay that, because I think that'd be quite humorous to see if that was the case. George Russell 7th and Ricciardo 8th. That's the points playing position. So here we are with the replay of Tsunoda. And he's not near anyone. He just mounts up on the curb, and the car does not comply with that. And he literally does take the Kimi Raikkonen scenic route. It's not exactly in the same corner, because that was the last corner back in 2012, but he did take a scenic route. He's got safely back on the track, and he will go about his day. He is 19th, because of course both Haas's and Sebastian Vettel are a long way down after all that contact on lap 1. So will Red Bull and Ferrari enforce team orders here? Because Perez is ahead of Verstappen and Sainz is ahead of Leclerc. So both championship contenders' teammates are ahead of them. The third one, which is Aiden Jackson, is actually in 9th, ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, who's dropped out of the top 10. Hulkenberg has not looked all with it this weekend, but after the half season he's at, I think we can let him have it, to be honest. He's done tremendously well for Audi, to the point where they're now sitting in 3rd. So what would that mean for the Constructors' Championship? I think it would mean that Mercedes probably get back ahead, but Aiden Jackson is going to have his own say in the matter, because he's going to grab a point for 8th place after passing Ricciardo. Vintage Aiden Jackson, and Nico Hulkenberg actually making a move as well. He got back into the top 10 ahead of Esteban Ocon. So both Audis making moves now, and now Hulkenberg is 2 seconds behind Daniel Ricciardo. He could probably make that up, but we've only got 7 laps remaining. It's a sprint race. It's the shorter of the 2 races, of course. Fernando Alonso has passed Esteban Ocon as well. I wonder if he's carrying an issue. We have a swap of positions between Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz momentarily. The camera director, rather, has not really been able to pick that up as of now. So we really should be back towards the front. Look how close Sergio Perez is to Lando Norris. Now, Red Bull here don't really need to enforce anything as of right now, because Max Verstappen would still hold the lead he needs to then finish ahead of Leclerc in the race tomorrow, and that would pretty much win the championship for Max. So if this is how it stays, he will have to finish ahead of Leclerc. Any position ahead of Leclerc will do. Leclerc will have to basically win the race and hope Max Verstappen is more or less out of the points, I would have thought. Maybe the low end points will do it. The points go down to 10th place. So I would assume if Leclerc wins, Max could probably finish as low as 7th from here. But we'll figure out all the permutations tomorrow and be back with you on that. As for Aiden Jackson, well, it looks pretty much the Audi, as we said. Oh, look at this, 3 wide into turn 3. This is where Montoya and Verstappen famously collided in 2001, taking Montoya out of a very well-deserved lead after passing Michael Schumacher a few laps earlier. And Norris still leads from the Red Bulls, and the Red Bulls just really seem to be holding station. There's no real need to enforce anything as of yet, because Max Verstappen still has championship position. So this would be for 6 points for Verstappen, and Leclerc would be down to 4, I believe. 3. It'd be 3 for Leclerc, 2 for Russell, 1 for Aiden Jackson. So they wouldn't be mathematically out, Jackson and Leclerc, but they certainly would have their jobs made a lot tougher. And because the Audi really hasn't looked at the races this weekend, it could be the final final fight at the title chances for Aiden Jackson. But let's be fair, finishing 3rd in a team that had barely gone off the ground, so to speak, because their entry was going to be a few years later in 2026, taking over the Sauber outfit to it was basically a prototype, which is why they called it Project Prototype for that amount of time. It really was a prototype. So for Aiden Jackson and the prototype Audi, as we will probably call it, to be in third position both times on both counts in the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. It's a very good effort. And that has definitely been boosted by the signing of Mika Hakkinen. That wasn't really in the plan, let's be honest. But after Rara Carvalho injured her arm, broke her arm in the Grid World Series race, Hulkenberg was called in as a replacement for the Raven West partnership, which kind of didn't end. Really, not unceremoniously. Anyway, it was all just to kind of go back to Raven West to support Hulkenberg in his efforts. But thankfully, the Constable technical partnership that Audi were going to have still gave them their pit crew that they will use for next season. They were actually going to come in for next season as Pierre Gasly goes around the outside of Esteban Ocon. Ocon is struggling in that Alpine at the moment. He's now down to P15, so he's falling off a cliff. I wonder if the tyres have anything to do with it. Of course, there's no pit stops in the sprint race. You're not required to make a pit stop. But generally, more often than not, you will pick maybe the medium tyres. There's no two-tyre rule. You can use whatever tyres you please, to be quite honest. But in a race just short as this, even the soft tyres probably would have been quite viable to make it. But don't forget, they've used probably a set of soft tyres for qualifying. And of course, there is the return tyre kind of stipulation where you have to return your tyres after, I think, each session. The most worn tyres, I think that is. And Max Verstappen now looks very close to Perez, so I wonder if TR orders will be enforced here, not turn 1. But right now, Max Verstappen doesn't necessarily need his teammate to move aside, and Perez really shouldn't be obliged to. Max didn't make the best of starts, to be fair. Lost out to Norris. He was on pole. Lost out to both Norris and Perez. So really, Max Verstappen not having the best of starts. As Mika Hakkinen is absolutely flying. He actually has caught and passed Daniel Ricciardo. So Hakkinen is coming up lights here, but unfortunately, we're on lap 9 with about 4 to go. So Hakkinen is going to run out of time when it comes to getting a point for Audi. Now, Aiden Jackson has caught George Russell here as well. So the Audis look very good in race trim, actually. Maybe it was just over the 1 lap pace where Audi were pretty, not weak, but certainly not at their best. And maybe in race trim, the Audis are better. The Audi has had much better races over the course of the year, to be fair. Although Jackson, to be fair, does have a few poles under his name this year. So it's not like they're totally devoid of qualifying performance, let's say. Lando Norris, once again, doing a splendid job. 3 to go. And he is pretty much on odds to win this race. He's McLaren doing very well to end the season. In a very similar situation to how Lando Norris won the US Grand Prix. He's got cars chasing behind him. But the McLaren seems so good in a straight line, as well as that tremendous chassis that McLaren have always experted in. It seems to be really helping them. If they can take this form into 2023, as we said before, they take this into 2023, along with the signing of the very highly rated Oscar Piastri, then McLaren, watch out, because they could be right up there. Of course, the real unknown will be where Connosport are, but they have most of the they've had a whole year to plan this out. So they should be at least in the midfield, I would have thought, but you never know. This is the second year of these new regulations at that point. Everyone has probably got an idea of how these cars work now, or they should do. At least we've had 20 races to work this out. So the form book is going to be completely out of the window. And let's face it, this year has actually been a good advert for these new vehicles, because even if Verstappen takes the championship tomorrow, it has gone more or less to the final couple of races, which is exactly what the sport would have wanted, and us as fans would have wanted, we should say. As Alonso is battling with Daniel Ricciardo as we enter the penultimate lap of this sprint, and they're going to go side by side, going down to Destino del Lago. I think this corner is. We've seen many kind of incident here. We mentioned Montoya and Verstappen, but we also had infamous moment between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton just last season. Contentious subject, but I don't think any penalty was given, or I think it might have been given to Hamilton actually, which was rather If that's the case, it was rather harsh, but it's been so long since then I've probably forgotten what happened. Sebastian Vettel really having a lonely race at the back with both Haas in the wars, and Vettel there as well. They've all had their front wings changed. Their race was over at the end of lap 1, and they had to come into the pits. We mentioned Alfa Romeo earlier. They've come somewhat good at the end of the season. They've definitely got their points on the board, but alongside Haas, probably one of the most disappointing outfits of the season, quite frankly, considering Haas and Alfa Romeo both have the Ferrari C-spec power unit. It's the same one that the Works team has used, because unlike, say, Mercedes or Red Bull, the main team always gets the more powerful engines. Ferrari has never really been the case. All teams have equal engine statistics. As Carlos Sainz is looking to try and take points off Lewis Hamilton. A bit of an honorary member of Brazil, Lewis Hamilton. It's kind of a home away from home race for him. With that there, much like how Max Verstappen can have a second home race at the Belgian Grand Prix, for example. Michael Schumacher can probably do that also. Well, here we are on our final lap. Lando Norris has done a tremendous job and is going to take the win for the sprint. And even though the rule was changed to give the pole position driver the pole position stat for this season, there's talk of maybe a sprint qualifying for next season to kind of split the stats, which would be a good idea. But Lando Norris, whatever the case, starts from pole position. He wins the sprint and takes 8 points. He did a tremendous job. And Sergio Perez has maybe, and we emphasize maybe, damaged the prospects of Verstappen a little bit. But crucially for him, he does finish ahead of both Leclerc and Aiden Jackson. So it's a 2-point swing in Verstappen's favour, ahead of Leclerc, and 5 ahead of Jackson, because he did get that point in the end. Hopefully we'll get a clearer picture at a moment of the standings. So both Red Bulls and Ferrari, well, they were beaten by even one Mercedes today. So they really have fallen off the cliff, as it were. It's so strange. Let's hope they can hold on for the constructors. It'd be nice to have the championship split for a change. We don't often get that, but they've really kind of just dropped off. And Red Bull over the last couple of races come on strong, and that's actually, to be fair, both Red Bulls, no matter the way round they are, it's still vital for the constructors now, because they had a 14-point deficit going into this one, and 7 plus 6 is 13, and 3 plus 4 plus 3 is 7. So that is almost a 10-point swing, I think. There or thereabouts. Actually, it's about a 7-point swing, I think. My math is terrible, as you guys know. Obviously, for Mick Schumacher had Vettel and Magnussen, their race was over. So it's 29 points between Verstappen and Leclerc. Aiden Jackson's now 32 behind. I think he's just going to fall at the last. The question is, will he finish third? I think he will from there. I think he's got a 20-point lead over Sainz now. So Jackson could wrap up at least third by the end of tomorrow. That would be a sensational result. As we said, for an Audi prototype that was barely put together in, well, not 5 minutes. They already had the blueprint, but considering where they were, it started well, and it's just got better from there. And, well, Sebastian Vettel, sadly, on just 1 point. A legend such as him deserved a lot more this year, but for Schumacher and Latifi, it's still a big 0. So, 16 between Ferrari and Red Bull. Audi are out of the fight for the championship win. It's now down between them and Red Bull. Tomorrow could be a big turning point when Formula 1 returns for the Grand Prix.